soulmates that you have before your like actual soulmate that you're gonna like, you know, do your whole life with, often they look like Venus Moon conjunctions. Having someone have a Venus Lilith conjunction that falls in your 7th house would make someone super sexually appealing to you. So I can see why Taylor would want to hit that sexual awakening vibes. Welcome back to the Wilding Astro Tarot YouTube channel for a wildly requested blind react to Taylor Swift's Synastry with her exes part 2, this time with Dianna Agron. Dianna Agron and Taylor Swift's Synastry was by far the most requested follow-up Synastry check after I posted my video of comparing Taylor Swift's Synastry with her 2 most recent exes, Joe Alwyn and Carly Kloss, on TikTok. Like, y'all were in the comments fighting for me to do Taylor Swift and Dianna Agron. So today is the day I'm going to blindly react to Taylor Swift's Synastry with Dianna Agron. Again, disclaimer we're going to start with is that we don't know Dianna Agron's birth time. I have some ideas about what her birth time might be based on kind of her life and who she is in the public. So we're going to first look at her chart with no house information, and then I'll show you what I think it might be. And also we are using Taylor Swift's Scorpio rising sign, which is not confirmed. However, it is the rising sign that I believe that she is. And if you want to know why I believe that she's a Scorpio rising, you can look at my video about kind of the 2 most popular theories of her rising sign, and me explaining why I think it is the Scorpio rising, which was about 2 videos back, but I will link the video for you to go check out if you want to know why I think she must be a Scorpio rising. That video will be there for you too. So that's the disclaimer that you need to know. None of these birth times are going to be confirmed. A lot of this is like speculation, like, but just like educated guesses, you know, like based on like working with people's charts a lot, seeing a lot of charts and understanding kind of the nuance of like where placement probably should be for them to be living the life that they're currently living, because the best chart is a life map. So yeah, that's the little disclaimer, but let's get straight into the video. Let's look at Taylor Swift's Synastry with one of her exes, or one of her rumoured exes, I should say, I think, because the relationship was, for obvious reasons, not confirmed to the public. Let's look at Taylor Swift's Synastry with Dianna Agron. So the thing that I saw immediately, which I think is so cute with these guys' Synastry, is that basically no matter what time Dianna Agron's born, her moon is going to be making some really cute conjunctions with some like very lovey-dovey placements for Taylor. So Taylor's Venus, Vesta, and then North Node all kind of line the distance between the end of Capricorn and kind of mid Aquarius. And so that was literally the path that the moon was moving through on the day of Dianna Agron's birth. So most likely she is somewhere close to either Taylor's Venus, her Vesta, or her North Node. And what I will say is I do think that she might have been born close to the middle of the day, which would put her moon on Taylor's Venus. And the moon is the sign of the soul. Venus is the sign of the mate. So it can give a soulmatey vibe. A moon-Venus conjunction is probably the most kind of soulmate feeling conjunction that you could have. Obviously, the real soulmate has more to do with Jupiter, but I feel like there is kind of like more innocent soulmates, the soulmates that you have before your like actual soulmate that you're gonna like, you know, do your whole life with. Often they look like Venus Moon conjunction. So that is really cute. That's what I saw straight away, and I love that. Even if Dianna was born a bit later in the day, they potentially have a Moon Vesta conjunction, which again is also fairly cute. If Dianna's born like really late, on the day of her birth, they potentially have a moon north node conjunction, which I wouldn't say is as lovey-dovey. I don't think it's as likely anyway, but that would make for a more intense connection, and that would probably make sense in terms of like what I've gathered kind of went down in terms of Dianna getting her feelings hurt a little bit, especially what I've seen of her like tweeting the day that Carly and Taylor had like a Vogue article or something come out. I wasn't around for this time, so I'm not really sure what went down, but that would make sense for the North Node moon conjunction. I do think Dianna was born earlier in the day, and most likely they have a moon Venus conjunction, but like love that immediately, like super, super, super cute synastry. The next really cute synastry that I see would be that Diana's Venus would fall in Taylor's 7th house. I really love Venus and 7th house synastry. Like when someone's Venus falls in someone else's 7th house, like that is so cute because Venus loves being in the 7th house. It's the ruler of Libra. Libra naturally loves to sit on the 7th house. So like that's super cute. And they also have trining Venuses. So Taylor's Venus conjunct most likely Diana's moon would trine Diana's Venus in the 7th house. So that's like super, super cute, like lovey-dovey synastry. Like I really love that for them. I would say kind of like the harder-ish thing is that they have Chiron, Diana's Chiron falling in Taylor's 7th house. So the thing with Chiron is it's better to sit on the ascendant because that's more of like, I'm gonna be a healing presence energy. In the 7th house, because the 7th house holds some shadow stuff, like that can be a harder placement to have, Chiron in the 7th. It's healing, but it's usually not healing from as much like ease, I would say. It can be healing through a lot of shadow. So I would say that's hard. The advantage is that Diana's Chiron is naturally quite soft because it's conjunct her Venus. So that's like kind of better. However, the other thing is Diana's Lilith also conjuncts her Venus. Now, Lilith-Venus conjunctions tend to make a quite sexually appealing person. And so having someone have a Venus-Lilith conjunction that falls in your 7th house would make someone super, super sexually appealing to you. So I can see why Taylor would want to hit that because, yeah, that kind of adds a little bit of sexual tension to the Venus, which I quite like. And this kind of repeats itself again in Taylor's 5th house because Diana's North Node falls in Taylor's 5th house. So that can be kind of like a destined kind of sexual awakening. So I do love that for Taylor. I love that Diana gives her like kind of sexual awakening vibes in her 7th and 5th house. Diana's Palace, which is a creative asteroid, also falls in Taylor's 8th house. That's not super strong sexual synastry. Like it wouldn't be like a deep sexuality. Like they probably wouldn't have been able to go deep together sexually, but it is also nice. Like it's nice having like some 5th, 7th and 8th house synastry. Really love that for them. So you've kind of got like a very slight deeper sexuality placement, a really good like 7th house synastry. I wouldn't say necessarily like it's not like a heaps long term kind of vibe, but definitely like potent 7th house synastry. Then the 5th house synastry is definitely giving a little bit sexual awakening, but like definitely more like kind of mental awareness because Diana's Mercury, which is a thinking planet, falls in Taylor's 5th house. The other thing that's also cute is the 6th house does have ties to sexuality as well. It's more like your sexual health and just like your more everyday sexuality, like you as a creative being going through your everyday life, like we're innately sexual, essentially. And the sun is very kind of sexy romantic, given that it's like 5th house Leo-ish energy, like those three things all go together for a reason. So I do love that for Taylor too. So I definitely see the like kind of romantic sexual awakening. I don't really see the depth. I don't really see the permanence. I don't really see the forever. But I do see like a short-term like very feely feel. Like, yeah, it's kind of like giving the soulmate before the forever person for sure. Like the thing that feels like a soulmate that's like so almost the thing, but just like not quite the thing, if that makes sense. Like it's very cute, but just like personally, I wouldn't want to lock someone down forever with this synastry, but this would just make such a beautiful kind of like first love scenario, especially like first sapphic love. I don't know if it actually was Taylor's first sapphic love, but like I love this synastry for that. It's like super cute for that. Yeah, I like really see that. We also have Diana's Ceres asteroid falling in Taylor's 7th house, which is like kind of nurturing personal development, character growth, which is also cute. So yeah, they do have some cute stuff on Taylor's western side of the horizon, which I love, which is the relationship side. I don't like, so she has Diana's Jupiter and Vesta fall in Taylor's 4th house, which I don't love 4th house synastry for. Like, I wouldn't rely on that alone. It is nice. It's nice to kind of have your own personal, like, spiritual life, private life, home life, kind of like opening up a little bit. I do like that. But yeah, I would have liked maybe a different placement for Jupiter for like more long term, I would say. The fact that their Jupiters trine each other is definitely good. Like, Diana's a Pisces Jupiter, Taylor's a Cancer Jupiter, like that's very cute. But yeah, especially because Taylor doesn't really have strong Pisces placements, I don't see Taylor being Diana's long-term person. And because Diana also doesn't have strong Cancer placements as far as we know, she could be a late degree Cancer rising. But yeah, as far as we know, because she doesn't really have strong Cancer placements, I wouldn't expect her to be Taylor's forever person either. It is kind of cute though that there's each of their creative palace asteroids falls in the same sign as each other's Jupiter, which I feel like kind of gives the vibe, as I was saying before, like this kind of like first sapphic love that like feels soulmatey, isn't your forever soulmate, but like kind of leads you to them. Like I kind of like that kind of creative energy in each other's like soulmate house. But it's just the asteroids, I mean, soulmate sign. The asteroids are just so soft though, like they wouldn't be strong enough in themselves to kind of keep two people together forever to lead to like marriage, in my opinion. You could like force it to work for sure, but I just don't think the astrology would naturally draw those two people together forever. So yeah, it's like very cute for like early sapphic romance, like sexual awakening, falling in love, like probably like for the first time in like a sapphic way, like that, all that synastry is really good for all of that. Like I love that. But yeah, I don't see permanent so far. But we'll keep looking. So probably the hardest part of this connection that I'm seeing is Diana's Sagittarius placements. So Diana's a Sagittarius Saturn. Saturn's very obviously malefic, very restrictive, and they were together such a long time ago that I don't think, I'm very doubtful that Diana had been through a Saturn return at the time. So that's a highly restrictive energy in Taylor's first house. And given that Taylor's a first house Sun and Destined asteroid conjunct, which is like her like real star quality, having a restrictive energy in your star quality house is just not going to go down well. Like that's going to create lots of tension and like kind of feeling like the Saturn person's holding you back from stardom or whatever. Whether that's real or imagined, there's going to be that sensation of like, this person's holding me back, this person's not letting me shine, like all that's kind of the vibe. And while Diana does have a Juno asteroid in Taylor's first house, which is kind of like nice nurturing energy, again, it's an asteroid, it's not as strong, it's definitely not going to overpower Saturn in there. And also the other thing is that Diana's Uranus placement exactly conjuncts Taylor's Sun and Destined asteroid. Now, a Uranus Sun can indicate like a very instant kind of romantic sexual kind of attraction, because remembering there's that kind of like sexual, creative, romantic quality to the sun, but which like can really draw you to someone, like that instant attraction, instant kind of like romance almost. Uranus conjunctions are like very instantaneous. However, Uranus also governs soul contracts. So yeah, having the sun on Dianna's soul contract energy, especially with Saturn, which is very karmic, like all of them together there, I feel like they were always supposed to cross paths. It feels like there was a soul contract there, but yeah, again, given that Saturn was unreturned, and like much more malefic, and just like knowing how important those first house placements are for Taylor for her career, it's kind of another like not forever kind of vibe, in my opinion. The other kind of hard thing is the placements that Dianna has in Taylor's second house. Taylor's a singer, so the second house is really important, governs the voice. It also happens to have Capricorn there, which is a career-orientated energy. And the two placements that Dianna has is a Mars, which is the lesser malefic, but definitely malefic, and Neptune, which does have a bit of a malefic vibe to it. So they're not the best to have in one of Taylor's really important houses. Like, yeah, Dianna essentially just has kind of bad placements for Taylor's very important houses, which happens to be the first and second, based on her being essentially a big star, big household name. I just don't love all of those placements in those houses, especially because Taylor's Saturn is there. You've got kind of like a Saturn-Mars kind of conjunction. You've got a Neptune-Uranus conjunction. Like, it's just, yeah, it's not it's not harmonious vibes in a very important house for Taylor, especially because her like 10th house ruler, Mercury, is really caught in the middle of those conjunctions. Like, that's just not a good vibe like for long term, because I just wouldn't see Dianna supporting Taylor's career long term. Like, I just see like kind of fights, conflicts, maybe like, because Neptune, they've got a lot of Neptune energy. This can be like kind of like our own inner stories, illusions, kind of like, yeah, it feels like they probably would trigger each other a lot. I do like that at least Taylor's Saturn is in its sign of rulership, and also Dianna's Mars is in its sign of exaltation. I'm pretty sure Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So like, that's cute that they're like two boss business energy girlies in their own individual right. I just think having those on top of each other would be hard. And again, it's all happening opposite Taylor's Jupiter, which is the husband and wife. And yeah, I don't know. It's just not the best vibes, in my opinion. So yeah, I see that being like a point of tension in their relationship for sure. So that's everything that we're pretty sure about, based on what we're pretty sure Taylor's rising sign is, and just based on the astrology of Dianna's day of birth. I have looked at Dianna's chart for a hot second and just did some mental maths about where certain placements would be, in terms of like what would make sense for her personal chart. Because she's an actress, you'd want some stuff going on with the 5th house and probably the 10th as well. And so I kind of like for her either a late degree Cancer rising or early Leo rising for her to be an actress. Honestly, the late degree Cancer rising, like I kind of do see it. I kind of do see a little bit of luminosity to her, but I would probably expect her to be more likely a Leo rising, because to me she just appears a bit more like kind of yellowish, warm, golden. And then also that would make her sun a chart ruler. Leo's tied to the 5th house, the sun's tied to the 5th house. Like, it's just very much giving acting vibes. And even though that would mean that her Saturn would be in her 5th house, which Saturn can be restrictive, I think the Leo rising, the sun is the chart ruler, the sun would be in the 10th house, would overpower the restriction of Saturn a little bit, so that she would be able to be an actor before her Saturn return. Without those things, with Saturn in the 5th house, I would not expect her to do that well as an actor before a Saturn return. However, I think in that case, if she was a Leo rising, sun in the 10th, and then had Saturn, which is a soul work placement, Uranus, which is a soul contract placement, and then I think her vertex would be in there too, which is a fate placement. Like, I think that would make the most sense for her. So based on thinking that Dianna's potentially an early Leo rising, which would just be the easiest chart for her to be an actress. There's other ways that you could make an actress with her chart, but this is just like immediately what I can see would be the easiest orientation for that. Based on her being like kind of, some sort of like early-ish Leo rising, this is what their Taylor Swift and Dianna Agron's Synastry chart would look like with Diana's houses orientated. First of all, that means that the Sun-Uranus conjunction would be happening in Diana's 5th house, which would, be nice, especially given that Diana's North Node falls in Taylor's 5th house. It'd be nice to have some kind of like sexual awakening energy on the flip side as well. Like, that would be really cute. And then the other cool thing would be that some of their Capricorn placements could potentially fall in Diana's 5th house as well. She would have to be a little bit more of a later Leo rising. The kind of later the Leo rising she would be, the more of those Capricorn placements could fit in there, which some tension in the 5th house is nice. Like, I love a Mars in the 5th house, I'm not going to lie. Because, it can make the sex really good. So wouldn't be opposed for them to have that 5th house kind of vibe. She would have to be an early Leo rising or a very late degree Cancer rising to have their Venus Moon conjunction in the 7th house, which I think would be really cute. But even if it was in the 6th house synastry is kind of cute, especially for like an everyday kind of synastry, and it kind of would make sense for them to not have a double Venus in the 7th house synastry, because then it would be a bit stronger for more long term, I guess. That would also mean that Taylor's North Node would fall in Diana's 7th house, so that would make sense in terms of maybe just the vibe that I got. Obviously, I wasn't around at that time. Seemed like Dianna potentially maybe wanted a longer term, more committed thing, and Taylor, it was more like, this is like sexual awakening and fun. Just the vibe, again, from the tweets that I saw reposted recently about what Dianna was tweeting after, that Vogue article came out about Taylor and Carly Kloss. That would make sense for their North Nodes, one to be in the 7th, looking for locking it down, the other to be in the 5th, maybe looking for a bit more fun. This would also put Taylor's Cancer stellium mostly in Diana's 11th house of like kind of more friendly vibes, which I think is potentially how their relationship kind of started, which would make sense. And then also you've got in Diana's 4th house of like home, private life, kind of family, spiritual life. That would mean that Taylor's Mars would fall into that, which again, malefic-y, and it kind of does seem like, maybe some of Diana's kind of personal life got blown up in that connection. So that would make sense as well. They would have their Pars Fortune in the same sign, which I think is cute. This is also true for Carly and Taylor, if Diana's a Leo rising, which, I kind of like that, because the Pars Fortune basically summarizes your big three based on whether you're born day or night. It kind of indicates like what kind of is the overall vibe of your big three. And what's the most abundant point of your chart. So I kind of like it being in the same sign, because that's definitely kind of like two people that would definitely get along. Taylor's past fortune would also fall in Diana's 10th house, which I think is cute, which is like kind of a bit of a career boost, which I think is like a fair call that Taylor potentially might have had an effect on Diana's career. I also just love that with this Leo rising for Diana, she would have so many placements in the 10th house in her personal chart. She'd have Sun and past fortune and North Node conjunct the MC, which is all giving like star quality. And then she would also have her Venus and Lilith in there too. So yeah, I think it's just like, I see this. I really see this for their synastry, like as a real possibility. It was a late degree Cancer rising and it'd give her a little bit of extra kind of romantic synastry with Taylor, but I don't think they really need that, to be honest, because they have enough kind of other stuff going on for the romance. Even without Diana's house orientation, I think it just all kind of makes sense for Diana to be kind of early to mid kind of Leo rising. That kind of makes the most sense to me, just based on kind of a cursory glance at her chart. Obviously, there's other ways to build an actress in a chart, but to me, this is the most kind of obvious. Like at a glance, I could tell straight away. I was like, oh, Leo rising would make the most sense for Diana to be who she is and to be like fairly successful, I would say. Definitely way more successful as an actress than Joe Alwyn is as an actor. So like this is a lot stronger actor energy. I would expect her to like still have a career for like a long time based on this chart. Like if this is her real chart, she'll continue to be acting, continue to be successful. Like there'll be no slowing that there'll be no slowing her down. This is a really, really, really good chart for an actress. So this is immediately what I would have expected for a chart. But again, disclaimer, don't know her rising sign. This is just what made the most sense. She could be a different rising sign altogether. I just think it makes the most sense for her to be a Leo-ish, around a Leo-ish kind of rising, to put a lot of her like really important placements in the 5th and 10th house. Yeah, that would be the kind of easiest to build an actress. So yeah, that's the vibe. That's what I think. If she's a earlier Leo rising, she'll have Saturn in the 5th. If she's a later Leo rising, she'll have Neptune, potentially Mars as well in the 5th, which would be nice given that Mars is exalted in Capricorn and would also be in her 5th house. That would be like a really good vibe for an actress. So yeah, kind of like any way you slice it, if she's a Leo rising, it just like works like really easily. And yeah, although she could be a different rising sign, this is what my best guess is for her, just like at a cursory glance. Like obviously I haven't spent a lot of time on it. I just looked at it and that was like immediately where my brain went. I didn't necessarily try lots of different options. But yeah, that's just what makes the most sense for me. And yeah, she'd also be a day chart. So the sun would be important. The sun would be a chart ruler. So yeah, it just, to me, it makes lots of sense. So yeah, I just wanted you to know that we don't know if this is her rising sign, but this is just what makes a lot of sense to me. So yeah, that's what I think. So overall, Diana and Taylor seem to have really good synastry for like a first sapphic love, for like sexual awakening, for like very cute, like kind of soulmatey kind of vibes, like not a forever soulmate, but definitely a soulmate along the way. And yeah, definitely like a really cute connection, lots of kind of like love, attraction, like it's just, I super love this for like an early sapphic experience. I think like basically like this is just what you would want. This is what you would want to have. Like it's giving everything that you would want it to give. Like they obviously have lots of friend synastry, but they've got other stuff going on. So I really doubt that they were just friends. I really doubt that they didn't act on any of this kind of like sexual romantic vibe, because the sexual romantic vibe honestly is a lot stronger than the friend vibe. So yeah, I kind of don't see them not acting on that based on this chart. So like I love that for them. I think it's really cute. Their synastry is really cute. I would really not expect them to get back together. There's a lot of tension in some places that are really important for each of them. Like Taylor's bringing tension into Dianna's career house, the 5th house. Dianna's bringing tension into Taylor's 2nd house, which is the singing house, which is her career house. Like, it's just like a not good vibe for them both to have a career and be successful and be together. Like, I really think their careers would have split them apart at some point, no matter what. So yeah, I kind of don't see forever, but I see like really good history, like a really good kind of like first love experience, even though there are parts of it that are obviously very hard. I feel like sometimes you just got to get ready for your forever person, and this is a really good chart for getting ready for your forever person, for sure, especially if your forever person is a woman, and you're a woman and you haven't necessarily loved women all the way yet. Like, just cute, love. So yeah, they're very cute together. And yeah, let me know if you want to see Taylor Swift Synastry with any of her other exes. I think Harry Styles was also popular, especially if you want to know a Synastry with women, like hit me up, because that's my favorite kind of Synastry to do. So yeah, I think that is about all for this video today. So I really think I'm going to leave that here. I don't really have anything else to say about this chart. There's not like crazy like past life connection stuff or anything really crazy to go through. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave that here. I hope this was enjoyable for you to watch. I hope you learned some things. I hope you were able to see some Synastry astrology applied and some things made sense. So yeah, hope you found it helpful. If you did, I would love if you can like, comment and subscribe to, you know, let me know that you enjoyed it, that you got good stuff out of it. It also helps me with the YouTube algorithm, so I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, until I see you again, thanks so much for watching, and ciao.